In the depths of a deceitful and despair-filled dungeon, an extraordinary tale unfolds. Sinister creatures lurk in its dark corridors, drawn to its priceless hidden artifact. Amidst kingdoms consumed by their obsession for dungeon treasures, the needs of their people are disregarded. Against this backdrop, a courageous band led by the audacious Stitch Atelier embarks on a perilous journey into an ancient B-ranked dungeon. Guarded by the enigmatic Gerald, this treacherous dungeon rivals even the most formidable A-ranked ones. With hired soldiers fortifying their position, Stitch and his allies venture forth, unaware of the impending dangers. Inside the dungeon, Stitch's exceptional research abilities aid him in navigating the perilous maze. His pathfinding and animal instincts grant him extraordinary perception and sensory abilities. Leading the soldiers cautiously, Stitch remains vigilant of lurking traps. Their journey leads them to the final challenge, a guardian protecting the coveted artifact. Though lacking traditional combat prowess, Stitch's research skills prove invaluable in uncovering hidden truths. With the soldiers shielded and positioned, Stitch lures the guardian with precision. A seismic awakening shakes the dungeon, revealing Tarask, an unstoppable fiery force. The soldiers activate their formidable shield wall, defending against physical and magical onslaughts alike. Amidst the chaos, the crossbowmen struggle to aim through the glare and smoke. The squad leader implores Stitch to employ his unique abilities. Drawing on his honed animal instinct, Stitch takes aim at Tarask's maw and releases a bolt with uncanny precision, striking true. Tarask rampages in a cataclysmic frenzy, leaving devastation in its wake as it closes in on Stitch. The squad leader swiftly orders a shield strike, toppling the colossal beast. Momentarily disoriented, Tarask falls prey to the commander's strike and the soldier's powerful shield blows. Just then, Mr. Harold delivers a decisive sword strike to Tarask's neck, putting an end to its reign of terror. Stitch's astonishment grew as he laid eyes on the long-awaited artifact. Delving further into the dungeon, doubts surfaced as Mr. Harold questioned Stitch's past accomplishments as a researcher. Stitch admitted his struggles against the dungeon defender, an obstacle he could never overcome. Offering a chance to touch the artifact, Gerald witnessed an unexpected turn of events. The moment Stitch made contact with the glowing skull ring, excruciating agony coursed through his body. Artifacts, conduits of negative energy, weren't easily relinquished. Gerald removed the curse, instructing the squad to take the ring and abandon the suffering Stitch. Yet fate had its own agenda. As Gerald held the artifact, pulsating green veins reactivated its power. High-risk protocols triggered, and Stitch, seemingly torn apart, rose anew. Panic-stricken soldiers launched futile attacks, but their efforts proved fruitless. Blaming Stitch for the ensuing chaos and delay, Gerald seethed with fury. As the dungeon crumbled, the commander urged Gerald to flee. Bewildered, Gerald questioned Stitch's resurrection. The commander calmly revealed that the artifact recognized Stitch as its partner, granting him immortality. Emerging as the sole survivors, they returned to the capital. Gerald instructed the commander to spread notices in search of Stitch throughout the cities they passed. Meanwhile, Stitch, disoriented, tried to activate his animal instinct, only to be shocked by the artifact once again. Known as Memento Mortem, it had saved Stitch's soul but manipulated his traits, drastically changing his essence. This rare artifact possessed consciousness, a relic of its kind. Seeking an escape, Stitch questioned the artifact's abilities. Memento Mortem disclosed that while a person's lifetime abilities were typically limited to 10 or 20 with enhancements, this artifact elevated the count to an astonishing 40. With the artifact's mana depleting rapidly, Stitch learns he has only 12 hours left to live. Their fates are intertwined, and their survival hinges on restoring the artifact's mana. Despite his diminished abilities, Stitch encounters a formidable great wolf. Waiting for the downgrade to wear off, he unleashes a single air bullet attack, effortlessly obliterating the wolf. Astonished by the artifact's true power, Stitch realizes he had underestimated its capabilities. Meanwhile, in the presence of the Venetian royal army, King Bodarus faces a succession dilemma. His 3 offspring, Raptors, Alfred, and Harold, compete for the throne. Absorbing mana from the wolf, Stitch becomes aware of Gerald's minions hot on his trail. To evade capture, he concocts a sleeping potion using cat grass, rendering the guards unconscious. Impressed by Stitch's resourcefulness, the artifact commends him as they make their way to the village. In the village, Stitch discovers wanted posters branding him as a thief, with a tempting reward of 400 crowns for his capture. Realizing a normal life is now impossible, Stitch prepares to leave, fueled by a burning desire for revenge against Gerald. The artifact pledges its aid, promising invulnerability in exchange for Stitch's assistance in its quest for power. Devouring curses becomes Stitch's path to strength, as each absorbed mana enhances his abilities. In a bustling tavern, an armored man seeks leather recommendations from bartender Dalton. However, Dalton's attention is caught by a wanted poster featuring Stitch, leaving him bewildered about his recent activities. Meanwhile, Stitch arrives in another village, receiving a discreet sign from an old man, a tool for concealment and evasion. In such places, the black market is the only way to acquire certain goods. Though the artifact disapproves, Stitch insists on heading to the dungeon. Finding a hidden entrance, Stitch attempts the outdated password, only to be greeted by Dalton. Apologizing for his absence, Stitch explains his absence, leaving Dalton in disbelief. Overjoyed, Dalton embraces Stitch tightly, elated by their unexpected reunion. Settling into the tavern, Dalton asks about the wanted posters. Stitch proudly displays his loot from the Great Wolf, a collection of bones and skins. Attracting a crowd's attention, Stitch confides in Dalton, seeking a loan for 4 scrolls. Dalton, skeptical of the stolen goods, suggests he could have paid the 400 crowns to clear Stitch's name. Stitch explains his plan to teach a brazen prince a lesson, clinging to his pride. He asks if Dalton could simply lend him the money as a favor. Dalton proposes an alternative, a friend offering discounted scrolls. Going above and beyond, Dalton offers Stitch a new weapon from Clyde's collection, recording the debt under his own name. Approaching Clyde, a drunken grandpa, Stitch bangs on the table, rousing him from his stupor. Clyde responds with insults and tears before finally offering the weapon at half price. Stitch inquires about Clyde's best weapon, and the composed Clyde advises him to choose one that feels right. The artifact, however, sees beyond appearances and recommends a sword on the far right, equipped with buttons and capsules, a weapon surpassing convention when wielded skillfully. Armed with his new sword, Stitch faces a horde of monsters in the dungeon, swiftly devouring them with curses. Gathering traps along the way, he sets his sights on acquiring lapis lazuli, intending to repurpose the traps for spare parts. In the depths of the cave, strange sounds pique Stitch's curiosity. Illuminating the area with a ring, he discovers a menacing mineral lizard. Caught off guard, the lizard spews corrosive acid, burning Stitch's shoulder. Luckily, the artifact activates a healing skill, restoring his strength. The formidable lizard, known for its mineral absorption and steel-like body, poses a challenge. Considering an air bullet attack, the artifact warns against it, fearing a cave-in. Instead, they view it as an opportunity to test Clyde's weapons on a medium-level monster. Stitch grabs the sword and launches an attack from above, only to be deflected by the crystals on the lizard's body. Thinking quickly, he activates a button on the sword, causing it to expand with the help of a capsule, piercing the lizard's skull. With the lizard defeated, Stitch utilizes devouring curses on its body, mindful of the diminishing capsule supply. After recovering from the ambush, the artifact senses a looming danger. A stronger lizard strikes Stitch, but he retaliates relentlessly, realizing the creature's flesh is unusually resilient. The artifact alerts Stitch to an anomaly, causing him to be momentarily distracted and get struck by a lizard's paw. Recalling a potential combination, Stitch asks about mixing Fleeman's powder and fireflies, and he attacks the lizard's weak points with light-infused ammunition, confusing the creature. However, an explosive system notification warns of abnormal tissue within the lizard, triggering a massive explosion. When Stitch awakens, he finds a crater where the lizard once stood. The artifact reveals that the lizard's magic had been manipulating Stitch, implying that someone within the dungeon altered his body. Utilizing pathfinding and animal instincts, they come across a motionless skeleton monster and wisely choose not to provoke it. As they turn away, a fiery explosion engulfs the cave, causing a collapse. Falling into a captivating sea of minerals, Stitch contemplates their value. However, the artifact realizes a troubling fact. It is unable to sense the strange magic permeating the dungeon. The deeper they go, the stronger the magic becomes, enhancing monsters' reflexes and explosive tendencies. Furthermore, this magic affects all items, turning the mineral passage into a treacherous minefield. Stitch also discovers that his usual recovery skills are rendered useless due to the overwhelming magical force. In the midst of the pervasive magic, Stitch realizes that even the return scroll might be useless, potentially leading them deeper into the dungeon instead of providing an escape. The artifact is clueless about the culprit behind the chaos, but believes defeating a particular creature could hold the key to their exit. They come across enormous gates and discover a colossal surge of energy, a genie. Recognizing it as an artifact, a sentient fusion of power and magic, they realize it is the source of the dungeon's treacherous conditions. Stitch narrowly avoids a falling stone and identifies the genie as the source of their troubles. The artifact and the genie have merged, causing magic to spray uncontrollably. Sensing impending disaster, Stitch races forward, dodging the onslaught of magic stones. Amidst the chaos, he notices a single stone gleaming with a golden hue. Another explosion signals the urgent need to escape. Despite the artifact's pleas to flee, Stitch persists in evading the genie's attacks, determined to find a way to harm the stone entity. The artifact suggests exhausting the genie's core with devouring curses. Stitch attempts to coordinate an air bullet attack with the genie's assault, but it veers off course. Undeterred, he rises to his feet, acknowledging that his sword alone cannot pierce the genie's stony exterior. As the genie turns around, a colossal stone crashes into Stitch, triggering a transformation. Rising to his feet, he charges at the genie, launching an air bullet. The genie exposes its vulnerable top, but the sword shatters. Stitch hurls a capsule, but nothing happens. However, a twist of fate occurs as Stitch spots Lappy's Lazula. Plunging it into the crack, a powerful explosion ensues, cracking the genie wide open. Devouring curses can now be used against it. Stitch, miraculously healed, notices his increased skills and magical power limits. The artifact reveals a new skill, and Stitch's magic reserve is at a healthy level. Returning to Clyde, he offers spare parts and crowns for sword enhancements. Stitch then heads to Dalton's tavern, where Dalton is thrilled to see him. However, Stitch's rest is interrupted by Dalton, who brings news of Clyde's injuries and a mysterious potion that restores him. Clyde mentions Derek's gang and recognizes one of his attackers among his sixes, leaving Stitch bewildered about the people involved. With a mischievous grin, Stitch engages in a heated battle with Derek and his gang. In an audacious display of strength, Stitch effortlessly dismisses his attackers, tossing them aside like ragdolls. Even when faced with a knife-wielding gang member, Stitch's swift feet find their mark, connecting with his face. Amidst the chaos, Derek belittles Stitch, claiming he's worth a mere 400 crowns. But Stitch remains undeterred, vowing to put them all behind bars. With a powerful blow, Derek crumbles to the ground, but Stitch isn't done yet. He won't allow Derek to writhe on the ground, daring to touch someone who shouldn't be touched in this village. Stitch pours a healing potion on Derek, commanding him to rise. The next morning, Dalton shares news of Derek's pitiful state, wandering the streets like a homeless man. Curious about Stitch's activities, Dalton inquires, but Stitch casually brushes it off as a mere warm-up. Clyde joins them, unveiling an enhanced sword featuring a wedge-shaped process and an attached wire procured from the dungeon. This weapon promises even greater destructive power, eliminating the need for reliance on capsules. Stitch and Dalton express doubts about the weapon's classification as a sword, while the scarcity of capsules in the village raises concerns. With Stitch's impending departure, Clyde compiles a table of ingredients for new capsules, suggesting seeking assistance from a specialist. Dalton plans to contact black market merchants for a stable supply. To make the weapon stand out, Clyde proposes the name Penetrator, which receives approval from Stitch. In the Kingdom of Venice, King Brandon returns to his castle, and his son Alfred visits Gerald, discussing unauthorized departures and dungeon entries without the king's knowledge. Alfred realizes the trouble Gerald will face if their father discovers the truth and plans to keep Gerald in the dark during their audience with the king. Alfred provides Gerald with a bag and advises him to nod and remain quiet while coming up with an alibi. During the audience, Alfred explains Gerald's absence as his involvement in suppressing an elven uprising, catching idol Henrietta off guard. Idol continues to question Prince Gerald's involvement in suppressing a rebellion on the opposite side of the front. Alfred smoothly attributes it to efficiency, using Conrad the caster's divination ball to pinpoint the uprising's location. Thanks to their swift action, the herald received the information, preventing a different outcome. Gerald bent the rules for this reason. Intrigued, the king asks Gerald for the outcome. Gerald admits losing most of his soldiers but successfully destroying the infected artifact held by the rebels. He presents the head of the elven leader as proof. Satisfied, the king dismisses Gerald and advises him to rest. Alfred has one more matter to discuss with the herald, while Stitch and the artifact enjoy frying fish by the riverbank. As they head further southwest, human presence diminishes due to the nearby elven settlement, where humans are despised. The artifact feels relieved to wield its abilities without drawing attention, making it an ideal place for dungeon exploration. Rumors circulate about the danger posed by the elves. In the midst of it all, a man runs along a trail, pursued by someone. The elves close in, but a girl in their group suggests capturing him alive, sealing his fate. If you liked the video, subscribe. Here is another video for you to watch more.